ati airport imesimamishwa. Sasa wale wamesimamisha ujenzi wa airport ni mashujaa. Mashujaa wakufanya kitu gani? Airport pale iko kwa runway. Airport inafuja, iko kwa tent. Nchi zingine wanajenga airport zao. Yetu hapa Kenya ni sijui ni aina gani. Alafu kuna watu wanaongea hapo, tumeshinda sana, sasa tumesimamisha kujenga airport. Wale wanapinga airport hata hawajawahi kukanyaga kwa airport hata siku moja.
Linus, have you ever been to any airport? Local, international, regional, airstrip?
Wow. You know, that moment reminded me, there was a moderator, a debate moderator, who asked a very prominent leader a question in a debate, and I think the moderator was told, "You've never been deputy president."
Where's Ijua?
Yeah. Where's Ijua? You wouldn't know.
Too soon, Linus, too soon.
That person is not here.
No, that person is not here. No, I don't know who you're talking about.
Here.
Yeah.
But just to take this point home, the president made this unfortunate remark.
Yeah.
And it makes his critics small. And, you know, that's the psychology.
That's the idea.
Demean them.
Yes.
Is first of all deny them the lockers. You know, what do you even know about airports?
What do they say on social media? You have no range.
Yes.
You have no range.
Just speaking
so you can't talk about airports, which is really unfortunate, because one of the things that also came out during that moment of these remarks by the president is it now emerges that he may not have been very comfortable about the cancellation of the Adani deals. That is the translation we can translate just from the way he reacted. Because as if forgotten the standing ovation he got from members of parliament the moment he announced that the Adani deals, including the Kenya Power, actually not Kenya Power, but the Ketraco deal has been cancelled. Members of parliament stood up and cheered the president for making that statement.
Wasn't he the hero?
Yes, he was the hero that day.
But now?
So could these MPs be the ones who have never been to the airport and should not be celebrating the cancellation of Adani deals? I think, back to my original point, which is we have a very informed population that asks questions and do research, and they check all these things. The president should make peace with the Adani deal situation. If Adani was wanted, is wanted in the United States, and that was public information, and it's sort of referred to it by in the statement to Parliament, then it's time to move on. We can't defend Adani after he's been condemned, which is what the president is trying to do here, and by saying that people should not be celebrating. But I just want us to listen very quickly to that statement about building a new airport. Monica?
Lakini mimi nataka niwahakikishie airport mpya tutajenga.
You see, it's never about not building a good airport. That's not what Kenyans are saying. It's the how. Is it a clean, open, transparent process? Because we have been at it for so long, team, and you remember there used to be something called Greenfield that Mwai Kibaki, the third president, very hurriedly launched before he left office, and we were expecting that to be realized. We've said it here that the country needs a new airport. It's crying for one. But it's the process that Kenyans are questioning. Is it transparent? If Adani is coming to construct it, is he coming with clean hands? Is he wanted elsewhere, as it emerged the other day? Is he playing clean? Basically, transparency is our new currency as a country.
Yeah. Other people calling for transparency in the country would be the clergy, and particularly the NCCK. They're not letting up. Let's listen to their calls for transparency from the executive.
Lies and falsehood have been elevated
to the point where no one knows what to believe anymore. These narratives are often premised on lies and falsehood. We appeal to you, Kenyans, brothers and sisters, to seek the truth.
Let us exercise the powers of the office of the citizen. One of them is to speak up. One of them is to stand up and be seen. We ask pastors wherever they are to speak boldly and to preach freely and to prophesy when God has placed a message on them.
So those are members of the NCCK. Now, you know, we see a lot of talk about the church in politics, but perhaps I want to posit it differently, right? For decades in this country, you know, the church has been involved in the current affairs of this country. Not so much the politics of it, but addressing human rights issues, good governance, other societal issues, human rights. The church itself, and indeed all religious bodies, be they Christian, Muslim, Hindu, are all involved in various aspects of society, provision of healthcare, provision of education, and in many instances they have collaborated with government and engaged in matters of the country. So I think for politicians and perhaps others to expect them not to be involved in matters of how the country is run is what I find interesting, because, you know, we've heard several leaders saying, you know, no, but the church, you know, you shouldn't say anything and stay out of it. And perhaps that's because it's been the framing of it as church in politics, but it's really church in everyday life. And they're involved in that in just about every sphere and every sector. And in fact, if we think NCCK, the Catholic bishops, the evangelicals, and all the others are harsh now, perhaps we need to be reminded of history in this country. You know, Bishop Alexander Muge, Archbishop Ndingi Mwananzeki, you know, and many others. Perhaps, Sam, let's come to you, and I'm sure Linus will give us a history lesson of ways in which the church has stood on matters that are taking place in the country. But, Sam, this has been sustained for quite a while.
Right, and you recall that it started with the Catholic bishops themselves. In that statement, it was not very long. I think it was about 2.5 pages, but really had a serious impact in this country and how the government responded to it. And you recall that the changing phases of responses from denial to acceptance to making fun of it and eventually going to the Soweto Catholic Church and making a donation there that has really spiraled into something else. That now you have even conversations about should Sadaka be made at a church where you're visiting or at your own church, to an extent that you see the Archbishop of Nairobi, Philip Anyolo, talking about it. Yes. Now you find, shortly after, you remember there were responses from different members of the clergy, including a statement from the Archbishop of the Anglican Church of Kenya, that is Jackson Ole Sapit, rather. And also there was a bishop or a pastor from Nyanza region and also from Uasin Gishu responding to this particular matter. It just shows you how important this particular question is, especially when it comes to reading the mood of the country and also looking at where it is going. I'm also looking at, Yvonne, what I'm sure we'll also be talking about, the fact that we are having a conversation about those donations. And actually, the past few weeks that we've sat here, it has continued to be an issue. The latest one is what we've seen, I think it was in Bungoma County that we saw.
We have the clip, I think.
The governor of that county, Ken Lusaka, handing out resources. You want to say something?
Yes, before you do that and before we go to Governor Ken Lusaka, just you know, on what you were saying, Sam, let's listen to Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit on just that matter of giving.
Right.
All persons are free to attend worship services and give their offerings, but we will not allow the sacred religious practice to be used for self-promotion and self-marketing.
Right, about marketing. Again, a theme that has been seen, that you find the political leaders do not come to the church, because I think majorly it has been the Christian faith. They don't just come to the church for the sake of worship, which is what ideally brings majority of the congregants there. So these declarations, at the same time, every Sunday we are seeing a bit of donation. I think the Sunday before the last one, we saw the president speaking about him being a product of giving and he will continue to give because he has seen what giving does to him. Let's take a look at a clip of Governor Ken Lusaka presenting what he said was a donation from the president.
Bishop amesema hatarudisha hii.
So, of course, after that, the governor explained and said that he had been sent by the president, that the president had spent some 10 million shillings in that county, and therefore people should not go complaining on the streets.
Alikuwa anatimiza ahadi.
Yes, that he was keeping his promise. You can see the bishop is happy to receive. I don't know.
It's even the way this is done. You know, all this money is removed from bags and handed over. And I don't know if this is the self-marketing that you know, Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit was talking about, because there's a certain. I mean, think about it. How many other congregants do you see giving money in this way? I mean, how many? Most people, in fact, what is that that the Bible, that the politicians of present day love to quote? What do they say about the right hand
not knowing
what the left hand is doing and giving? Yeah. Go to any church and how Sadaqah is given. It's a very solemn, somber affair, which is that the money is even, you know, folded into the smallest piece and is placed into either the basket or the bag or, you know, whatever it is. But that's not because the money that they're giving is little. It's because the money that they're giving is, you know, to the purpose of the church, which is, you know, the work and the outreach that they do. But this grandiose show of, you know, money and, you know, that's carried in rucksacks, is what is rather interesting, Linus.
Before Linus comes in, Yvonne, on the same point about kutoa. Swahili wajua wanasema kutoa ni moyo, usambe ni utajiri. And then yes, even in Islam, we're told mkono wa kulia usijue mkono wa kushoto umetoa nini. Because I mean, hey, it's somber. Umeenda kutoa sadaka, umeenda kutoa mchango, hoping that you'll please the one high up above with your actions. Ama you'll go help someone who needs it. Because hizo fedha unatoa kama zinatumika, pengine kwenda lisha yatima, pengine kutoa msaada wa chakula, kujenga shule, kujenga hospitali, you know, something. So unatoa with the hope that nimetoa ile ninayo to please the Lord high up above and also kumsaidia mtu mahali. And that's how it's supposed to be. Lakini now this whole kutoa, tumerudisha, wajarudisha bado, wanafaa kuwa merudisha. I think we need to listen to Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah speaking, and then also the Archbishop of Nairobi, Philip Anyolo, and then we continue.
Sisi hatutaacha kupeana kanisani. Hata wale wanasema wametosheka, ile wamesema wametosheka hawajarudisha bado.
Ndio huyo akizungumza pale. So pesa hazirudishwa, zimerudishwa. Some of these things is a gesture that counts. It's a thought that counts, that kwamba umeamua kutoa. And mbona tunavutana kwa sababu fedha imerudishwa ama haijarudishwa? I think let's listen to Archbishop Philip Anyolo.
It is not the first time we are doing it. We have ever done it. It's only that it came out explosively and you people brought it clearly in the media as you did this time. But we have ever done it. We have ever done it, yeah. So we shall continue.
Then they should all speak in the same voice. Kama ishasemekana hapa, we shall continue. Then kule Bungoma tuache kuchukua hizo hela. I think it will be very bold if 5 million shillings imetolewa, wanasema hapana, this is not the way to receive this, hatuwezi chukua. There are proper channels kama nataka kuchangia kazi za serikali. Instead of the spectacle that we saw in Bungoma, the fact that imetoka kwa rais, chukua, unatoa kabisa hicho kibunda cha pesa, unapatana pale mbele ya watu. And people have come to church for kupata hope, kumwomba Mwenyezi Mungu. And that display is not good. And finally, before Linus comes in, Yvonne, over the past few weeks, we've seen the church become bolder. maneno yanayosema ni makali. Unajua kama ingekuwa ni kanisa moja mahali inazungumza, it would be different. But now all the big ones are talking and they're being very specific and very critical about issues. And I think this comes from also the people that they administer to in these places of worship, that these are the things that they hear from the congregation about what really in our kula. We talk about how things are affecting people directly, where they are in their homes, in their workplaces, in the schools, in the hospitals, where they're unable to afford basic things that they used to. Even I was reading somewhere that about 2,500 people are going to lose their jobs this December because there are 4 companies that are either punguza wafanya kazi ama wanafunga kabisa because environment ya kufanya biashara imekuwa ngumu. So whatever the church is saying is actually the voice of the people, and that's what the church is supposed to be. Wanasema yale ambao wananchi wanataka kusema. And again, what we said before, wakati wa kusikiza ndo huu. People need to start listening. The leadership of this country needs to start listening and then take action accordingly. Sio ati unaona tu unapigwa, sio ati unapigwa bila sababu. Kuna mambo pale unapasa kusikiza.
Yeah. Linus?
I think the church needs to finish the argument it was making, complete it, because it stopped midway. There would be a number of Kenyans who are actually looking at what is happening and saying, what is the rationale? Why are you rejecting the donations? By rejecting the donations, the church is raising questions about the source of that money. They are not questioning your generosity, but they are questioning where you're getting that money. And let's face it, our politics is full of unaccountable wealth. If there is one nightmare that this country has had, is that so-called wealth declaration thing that is supposed to happen every 5 years for public servants and all that. And you'll find that out of politics, there are people who have completely, without selling a single thing, without being an innovator, without working for a single day, but becoming the richest person. And this is mainly through diversion of public resources. Some of these public resources actually finds its way to churches in form of donations and in form of generosity of politicians. So this is the point the church needs to make. The church needs to finish that argument. You started by saying you are rejecting. Can you now tell the country why? Because that will be really, really helpful. Lastly, for politicians, religion is fair game when it comes to making names and all that. I've never forgotten, and Jamila, you may remember one time in the height of campaigns, President William Ruto, then Deputy President, and his running mate, Rigathi Gachagua, went to a mosque and actually completely out of queue performed the sujood, which is a very solemn prayer among Muslims.
Yeah.
So they were going down when others are coming up. They are going up when the others are going down.
They were peeping while they were down.
They are peeping here to make sure they to try and catch up. This is the shamelessness of politics, because it has a very low embarrassment quotient. Religion is game. You can actually go to church, look like the biggest donor, because in there, by the way, you'll recruit some very gullible voters. Same in the mosque, perform the sujood and look like a Muslim for the day, and a very good one. That's what happens. And the church, the religious sector should actually now tell us the next thing.
Yeah.
Because it's a very important point that they are making, that, hey, let's question the source of that cash. Is it really your own hard-earned cash, or are you transferring some of the taxes back to the rightful owners?
And well, at it, how many churches do you have in the country?
Yeah.
Call them mainstream, call them Protestant, call them evangelical, Pentecostal, and of course the new ones that are coming up every single day. Never mind, there has been a lot of talk about the viability of some. So those that do not know a governor, what are they supposed to do? Because every church, every society, every community has a project they want to implement. Those that do not know the deputy president, what are they supposed to do? And how many bunches of 5 million shillings
Make
are
it
available
stretch kidogo a bit bigger.
for how many churches?
Yeah.
Because if that is the threshold that has been put, the bar has been set quite at some moderate level, or is it high? Because if Soweto Catholic Church gets inclusive of the promise, about 5 million shillings, if a church, I think in Mount Kenya region, is offered 5 with an escort of 2 million.
That weekend, sorry, Gitu, come interrupt. That Sunday, 13 million was given out.
Yes. If this church, St. Crispina's, ACK Church in Bungoma, gets 5 million, so the next one, should we say New Spirit Church, are they going to be allocated another 5 million shillings? Okay, well.
You know, you're saying allocated. You're saying allocation as if it's
allocation.
Budget. There's a vote and,
I mean,
and Parliament has to...
Sorry, which spirit?
Well, you'll find a name about New Spirit Church. You won't lack one. So it's a serious question, honestly, because if this is the trend, how much more 5 millions are available? Because there'll be many requests, even as we drive towards the 2027 election. How much can you sustain this? And for sure, it is okay that people have different hearts. People are gifted differently, that people want to give. But as you do it, what do they do to the national psyche, especially for also people who do not follow that particular faith? What are they supposed to do? Because, again, they have issues they want fixed in their communities. If schools, right now, there are some schools that have been said they have to close their boarding wings because they have certain gaps. What would 5 million shillings do to such an institution, whether it's private or it's public? Because in any case, there's no public church. All of them are private or owned by communities.